All right, good morning. It is Monday, January 20th in the morning. It is a Finance Committee meeting. Justin Kent was unable to make it. Something came up this morning. He did notify me earlier this morning that he wasn't able to make it. So just a few things on our agenda today. The big thing is I just wanted to run through with the committee and the board our early budget scenarios. But we'll start with our quarterly update. Again, when we say quarterly update, we are halfway through our fiscal year, but again, you'll see the way our revenues and expenditures go. We're not halfway through at all. So, but one of the things I do look at is we take a look at prior trends, and when we take a look at prior trends, we are right on where we want to be, certainly here. So. When we take a look at our revenues, again, as we know, our revenues do ebb and flow throughout the year. We have not received a property tax payment yet. That should be coming later this month, and that's the reason why, one of the reasons why you want to have a strong fund balance, so we don't have to short-term borrow. But again, our revenues right now, we've achieved about 20% of them. A year ago, we were right around 16% where we were, but again, in prior years, we're always between 16 and 22% with our revenues where we are right now. So revenues are looking good and as expected where we're at. So expenses, again, expenses as we go, again, you'll see that so far we have expensed approximately 35% of our budget. The biggest thing that you will see that hasn't been spent fully is basically our staff salaries. Our teachers are paid September until August. So even though we are almost halfway through our budget season, they have not been compensated halfway. So that's why those available funds are so large, and that's why our percentage is not closer to 50% as we take a look at it. So again, nothing alarming from what we look at. Again, obviously there's going to be ebbs and flows throughout the budget. Again, like I said, this past year, right now we're at 35.75%. The last several years we've been between 35 and 37%. So nothing out of the ordinary. Everything looks really, really good from that standpoint. So the next thing, let's roll into the 25-26 budget calendar. Again, just I shared it. I didn't print it out for the committee. I'll share that with you guys. It's a larger document.
I reviewed it this morning.
Yep. So we are on track basically. So far, I've already met with all of our directors. And we are starting to plan, and the biggest thing that we are planning is our next agenda item is our current budget assumptions. This is a lengthy document, but just wanted to showcase to the committee and the board and our community what we are looking at. And again, you will hear and you'll see a lot of budget items coming up here in the next several months as it relates to the state of Wisconsin, because we have finished our biennial budget, meaning our legislators and our governor are going to sit down and begin to look at what it is they want to do for the next 2 years. With that, again, like every budget, all of our variables don't come in until later September and October. We are operating underneath some assumptions here. So I promise this will change, certainly, and we will continue to update this as more information comes out of Wisconsin's and comes out of Madison. The biggest piece that I want to highlight is we are a growing school district, and since we are growing, again, a 3-year rolling average, our third year falls off at a smaller number and we replace it with a larger number. So obviously our revenue limit is going to go up. So we are anticipating approximately an increase of 31 FTE, or 31 students in the rolling average. For an example, we anticipate approximately 889 students to be added to our revenue limit. We drop off 797. So again, just from a 3-year rolling average standpoint, very, very different. The other piece that we are looking at is not only the 31 new students of money, but ultimately the last year's biennial budget promised school districts $325 increase in the revenue limit. So when you take a look at that $325, multiply it by our current FTE, then you add the 31 FTE and multiply that by the revenue per pupil. We are looking at approximately $640,000 in new money as it relates to the revenue limit. Okay. Again, the revenue limit is the amount of money that the school district can ask for, and that is a combination of property tax dollars as well as state aid. We don't know state aid until later. We do get a state aid estimate in July, but again, we are in very early stages right now. But again, that has nothing to do with how much money the district can levy. So the other piece too with the new money is there's categorical aid, and again, right now, this past year it was $742. Assuming there's no increase to that, there's a slight increase there of about $23,000. So ultimately, again, approximately $666,000 of new money going into the district budget this upcoming year. Okay, the other so that's the revenue side of things. When we take a look at the expenses, some assumptions we are going to make in open enrollment. Again, we're not going to adjust open enrollment. We're going to assume the same as we have here in the past, this past year. So again, not a big factor, but again, the open enrollment window is February 3rd through the 30th of April, so we'll continue to find out more as we march through that window. So that's kind of the revenue side. We also take a look at, though, what falls off of our current budget from a revenue standpoint. And the revenue that falls off this past year is basically our EBIS dollars, or the old COVID dollars from the federal government, and that's approximately $68,000. Those $68,000 were used to help offset the cost of our ELA adoption from K through 5. But again, those were dollars that we had this past year, so it's going to be a reduction moving forward. The other piece too is kind of we don't ever know, is the Title II funds. Title funds are dollars that are given to us by the federal government. There's several Title I is kind of the free and reduced lunch gauge. For us, we receive nothing. So ultimately, the only dollars we received from the federal government this past year was the EBIS, and then the $8,000 for the Title II, which is professional development. We're going to plan on not having any next year from the federal government, which means we wouldn't be receiving any money from there too. So when we take a look at those reductions, we're right around that $76,000, ultimately meaning we have about $590,000 of new money moving forward this upcoming year. So that's the revenue side. So if we have $590,000, what are our increases to expenses? And again, right now we are in a very early planning phases of our compensation. The strategic plan has asked the district to form a committee for teachers and then take a look at all the different areas to be market competitive and to possibly create a new salary schedule for our staff, for our teachers. So we are bumping that increase up a little bit to 5%. When we take a look at what that market adjustment may or may not be, again, these are preliminary. So again, you've got an approximate, when you add 5% of salaries, it's all just under $400,000 of expenses there across the district, including FICA, WRS, and LTD, and things like that. Another assumption that we're moving forward is a 15% increase in health insurance. Again, our health insurance does run calendar year. So again, we already know what our expenses are going to be July to December. We're going to add 15% of that, which would ultimately give us an approximate 30% increase in healthcare as we take a look at across the entire year. So healthcare is the biggest question mark that we have that is very difficult for us to control. Again, we don't see kind of those renewals until November-ish from that standpoint too as well. Taking a look at just increase in dental, and then ultimately CPI did come in just under 3%, so we did increase 3% for all of our other utilities, supplies, transportation, equipment, and things like that too as well. So when you take a look at our anticipated increase in expenditures, it's approximately $673,000 right now as we think about it. So it is over what our new money is. So what's falling off? Where are we going to go, and what gets reduction out of this current budget to make sure that we have a balanced budget? Expenses falling off, we did just receive a notification that we are going to have about a $20,000 decrease in our workers' comp premiums, which is great. The mod ratio is going down to right around that 1.0 now. Obviously, we're not going to be purchasing the Bobcat there. And then we've got RTUs, boiler pumps, stuff that we were able to do and stay up to date. And then we've got our ELA curriculum falling off too as well. So again, we're well underneath with the expenses falling off, underneath and making sure that we still are gonna be able to balance our budget moving forward. The other pieces that we do want to put into our, to make sure that we continue to that upkeep to our buildings is we are taking a look at wanting to carpet and paint 2 primary classrooms. We have 2 classrooms that have not been touched up for a while, and we'd like to get those taken care of. Want to make sure we seal, stripe, and crack fill. It is on schedule for this upcoming year. I've already gotten some bids already to come in for that too as well. And then taking a look at our network and our technology, making sure that we're still able to stay on top of things that way is Mr. Binney is recommending that we take a look and replace our network switches. That is E-ratable, so again, there is some rebates of approximately 40% coming back. So the out-of-district cost would be approximately $70,000 there too as well. So again, so when you take a look at what falls off, what we're going to be putting on, we do have a small surplus to continue to work with throughout the year. And again, it's about $150,000 right now. But the big piece is we don't know a lot of those variables. Again, healthcare, we may want to bump that a little bit more to keep, say you want to keep another $50,000 just in case with us being self-insured. So again, we feel really, really good about where we're at moving forward into the biennial budget and planning for next school year too. I did throw in there a property valuation that we're thinking about, again, approximately 5%. Again, the property valuation really doesn't have anything to do with our budget. It just has everything to do with the levy, about who pays the bill, either the state or the local taxpayers too as well. So, so at this time, we'll just keep the board and keep the community informed. But this is what we have for some preliminary opportunities moving forward this upcoming year. Dean, do you have any questions at all?
I don't think so. Thank you, Ron. Pretty well straightforward process that you can rely heavily on past experience.
Yep. So, all right. Well, that we'll just talk about it a little bit at the board meeting, and away we go. That concludes our meeting.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.